So I was making animations for my new mod when I thought, I have to make an animation. Why not take you through the process that I do to be able to complete the animation? And so you can kind of see and get a good idea of what you can do with the existing animations already in the game. So I'm going to hop over to the barbershop and take a look at all the animations that they have, and all I have to choose from to be able to modify to create this new animation. And so the animation is healing, drinking a potion, and I already have an idea of what I want to do. It involves kneeling to drink, so I know they have a kneeling animation. So I find the right kneeling animation that I want and take note of the name. Then I'm going to thumb over to where the drinking animation is, and I think this is the one, not necessarily toast, but here we go, the drinking animation. So I want the top part of the drinking animation and the bottom part of the kneeling animation to be able to create this Frankenstein animation that's going to suit my purpose. With that said, what I want to do is I want to go into my Crusader Kings graphics folders, go into portrait animations, and open up the animation document. So now that I have my document open, I'm going to take a look at the animations and then drink goblet, and then find the default animations for the head and the torso, which is the head and the body. And I find that for the drink as well as for the messenger. These names are important because they call the actual animation from the entity, which calls it from the skeleton. That links us to our file, and that's the file that I want to be able to edit. So after that, you go into the graphics, models, and then portraits. Go into the male body, and you're going to look for the asset file. I like to sort it to find it easier. Male body asset. So once that's open, you want to go and find the messenger animation that's being called. In this room, it's throne room messenger 1 entry, or messenger 1. Some of these have an entry, which means the start of an animation, and then the regular one continues the animation. So I take note of the names. After that, you want to go all the way up to the skeleton, which is a little bit different. This is the retargeting skeleton. Do not go into the PDX meshes, because the meshes already import this skeleton, and the skeleton file is located in the male body at the very top and the male head very top. Find the animation and then find the actual file that it's associated with. You want to look for the, in this case, male body drink 1.anim. That's the file you're going to import. After that, hop into Blender. Then you're going to pull up the male body mesh. Then after that, you want to load the animation that we just found. So hit load animation, and then go ahead and do a search. But you want to be in the male body folder, hit a search, and then find the one you want. And that's the one I want, and so I import it. Once it takes a while to import, you want to make sure that that's the animation that you want. After finding the one you want, you go into this here and go into nonlinear animation. So you're going to hit that down to make it an action. Click on the orange bar and name your action. This is important so we don't overwrite the current animation for the bottom layer. So it's kneeling. I'll make sure it's kneeling. You know it's an action when it's a solid orange bar. After that, I'm going to go back and I'm going to load the second animation, which is the actual drinking animation. and make sure that you get the right one. That one includes the entry, so that's why I selected that one over the looping one. I want them to start not drinking and then drink. Go back into nonlinear animation and ensure you have keyframes. Do not press the little down button to make it an action, because if you do that before you delete the keyframes you don't want, it's going to be an issue. Hop over to the dope sheet. This dope sheet has every single bone and every single action. All those dots are keyframes. This is associated with the drinking animation, which is the top layer. And what I want to do here is I want to get rid of everything below the waist, because I already have the stuff that I want in the previous animation. So go towards the bottom and delete everything that's associated, every bone that's associated with the, I would say, hip and lower region. And now we're floating. Amazing. So what happened here is I got to go back into my dope sheet because he's floating because I don't have, I didn't delete the root motion. So the body root is responsible for its relation to where it is on the ground. So I just delete the body root. It looks like I selected a lot, but I only selected one. Make sure you drag and drop from the bottom up to select. If you go up, down, it's going to select everything. And then we're good to go. Now the root's down and the animation is set. It looks a little wonky though. So I want to do some repairs. I might do that just a little bit later. So now I'm going to go after I've deleted what I want to delete and make this an action again. It's orange, so I know it's an action, and I'm going to label it drink. So what takes precedence is the kneel, and then the drink, and then the top layer. I click the top layer and I make sure I choose combined so that it combines the action at the top layer with the previous two bottom layers. In my case in particular, this is going to be for battlegrounds. So my guy's going to have a shield. Right now it doesn't look like he's carrying anything. So what I want to do is go into pose mode and go into my first frame and then kind of adjust it so it looks like he's carrying something possibly heavy. Once I get to the correct size, I want to do the location, scale, and rotation. And that's going to save that for all three animations that are currently layered. That looks about right, but there's still a few things going on. I click this because this is going to be important to me later. This is the closest bone that I have that tells me where the ground is. So when my guy puts his sword down to be able to drink, this is where I want to put it. Make sure you guys are annotating the names of the bones while you're doing it, because it's going to be important when you attach props, if you want to attach props. So now I'm taking a look at the animation to see if there's any improvements that I can make. Right off the bat, I noticed that the torso does not look correct, and neither does the right hip. And so I go through the process of correcting where I believe the hip should be. And I'm going to correct everything on frame 1. Don't forget to do that. So I'm going to select the spine, in this case the lumbar. You'll be able to tell what bone you're selecting because it's in the top left, highlighted in yellow. I'm going to correct it just a little bit there, and then I'm going to take a look at that hip and move the hip out a little bit more after I save that. Make sure after you move each bone, you save it on the first frame. There I moved it out a little bit, but the rotation is a little off, so I'm going to use the blue line here to move it out a little bit more to make that leg be able to appear as if it's load bearing. Save location, rotation, and scale, and boom, we're ready to actually see what it might possibly look like. I'm going to go into object mode and save it. Make sure you save it into your mod folder, because this is where you're going to be importing all the stuff that you're doing, and name it something. I named it Heal Drink because I'm creative as fuck. Then I'm going to save this because this is going to take a lot of tweaking, especially if you're a perfectionist. So I just save it as something and then continue on. After that, I want to open up the male body asset again, but this time I'm going to open up the one inside my mod. I'm going to copy the first line animation and just rename it. In this case, I'm going to name it Body Heal Drink because I'm already down this path of super creative naming conventions, I guess. And then I named it Heal Drink and Name, so that's what I'm going to put there. After that, make sure you're putting it in the skeleton animation. Do not do the PDX mesh. Go to the entity, copy one of whichever one you want. I just copied the top one. Make sure under animation you name it what you named it up there in the skeleton. Body Heal Drink. I like to flip where the body's at when I call it. So here I'll probably do Heal Drink Body. On the body, it doesn't really matter too much for the looping. You can say yes or no. The next is what's going to play next. I'm just going to loop it right back to each other there, so I don't need to do a looping yes. So this is going to continuously play. After that, I'm going to go ahead and copy this, save it into my male body. Then I'm going to go into the boy body asset and make sure that I go into the entity and paste it in the entity. You need to do the same thing for the female body and the girl body, but you just need to paste one line. You don't need to go through the animation anymore. That's already set inside the skeletal retargeting. Doing that, you want to go into portraits, portrait animations, and your portrait animations. So this is done inside the mod again. We're not doing anything inside the folder. I believe I created a little small one here, potion drink, already. So just do the male one, the boy, and the female and the male. That's all retargeting to the male. That way you don't have to redo this a few times. And then put your torso animation that we just created here, and hopefully the drink entry for the head works, as well as any props that you want. In my case, I have a little potion prop that I made. You go into the barbershop now and go down. It's automatically in there if you create it inside that portrait animation the way I did. It's all the way at the bottom normally. It's not working, so let's find out why. I'm going to go into my state and I'm going to take a look at the body and make sure the naming convention is correct. And it isn't, because I named it Heal Drink Body, not just Heal Drink. And we're good. I'm going to rotate and he's drinking with his head. Now, come to find out a little bit later, this is something that happens when you change the animation in the barbershop. You really should change it to another animation and change it back to ensure that you got the right animation playing And here I realize that the head is not really going. So yeah, let me fix that. So what I decided to do is make my own head animation. So I traced down where the body drink head animation is and went inside to ensure nothing was different. Make sure that the frames for the head are the same as the frames for the body so that we don't have a mismatch in timing. So I load my head animation, or load my head mesh, and then I load my head animation to ensure that everybody's operating at 200 frames, and they are. So what I did was I went down and I just copied that animation and renamed it, and did the same thing I did with the body, only inside the head this time. The thing about making the head animations is instead of having to go through male, boy, female, girl, you just have to put it inside of the male head and the female head asset. So inside the entity. So after that, what I want to do is I come out and go into the console and reload the assets. That way it reloads all my entities, including the male and female body. And my head animation in the portrait to the one I just created. Head animation, I decided to use looping. I didn't on the body, but I did on the head. I realized that it works better on the head than it does on the body, so I do that for the male and female. So after having my body and head animations in there, it looks relatively good. And if I was being super lazy, that's probably where it would stand. But I'm trying to do a tutorial, so I'm going to go ahead and show you on the left and the right. It still looks like he's drinking out of his nose. So I'm going to go inside the animation and fix that. You fix it from the male body animation, and then just basically rotating the prop to ensure that it actually lines up with the mouth. After locating the prop, which took a little bit because there's so many bones inside of the hand that it's kind of hard to find, I'm going to rotate it a bit. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go right before he drinks, and I'm going to save where the prop is at in the rotation of the prop, go a little bit forward to right when he's about to drink, and then rotate it and save it there. Then I'm going to scrub forward until he's just about done drinking and ensure that I keep the same keyframe that I did while he was drinking. And then I save, copy the original location and rotation, and make sure that it goes back to normal after I'm done. So after I'm done drinking, it rotates back. And then that's where the animation ends. I go into object, and then I go ahead and save it. And because I still have the game open, issues. So basically I go in here and I modify it so that it looks proper and it's at the proper height. It takes a little bit of going back and forth, but once you get it to correct position and you're happy with it, this is what the final animation looks like. Again, all I did was just tweak the prop a bit and then added my sword and shield, and that's it. That's how you Frankenstein an image from or animation from Paradox Animations. Thanks for watching.